Hello, and thanks for joining us on this special edition Nova Open Tried and True Battle Report. If you enjoy our content, please consider subscribing to the channel and keep up to date on our bat rep and podcast releases. If you would like to support the channel directly, a link to our Patreon can be found in the video description below. Our match today was recorded using the 2024 Steamroller Rules Scenario 4 Payload. Welcoming for the first time to Tried and True from Detroit, Michigan Meta is Dan. He has brought a 100-point army of khador Winter Corps led by Boris. Welcome to the channel. Please tell us about your lists and thoughts going into the game.
Hey, it's Dan. I run events out of the Detroit meta. We've actually got a Steamroller coming up Saturday, September 14th at noon at Twin Knights Gaming. And then the following week is actually the Michigan GT, where we've got a Friday night 75-point unlimited. We've got a 100-point Iron Gauntlet qualifier on Saturday, as well as a 3-person team tournament on Sunday. Great prep for Sussy Scuff. Today I'm going to be playing Winter Corps, Captain Alari Borisiuk. I'm going to be running a Mastodon with the Fire Support Head, 2 Heavy Cannons, a Great Axe, and a Grinder Fist. I've got a Direwolf, Shield Guard Head, Cannon, and Plow Shield, as well as a Great Bear with Aggressive, Battle Mace, and a Fist. For support, I've got Kruger 3, I've got Volkova, 2 Winter Corps officers, 2 sets of Arcanists, a Man-of-War Suppressor unit, as well as 2 units of snipers with their hunting dogs. My main goal is to start bullying pieces with the long-range guns on the Mastodon, start enabling my feet, get things into the threat range of my Great Bear, who's supposed to be doing my most damage, and then the Mastodon can just clean up at the end. We're supposed to be getting a pretty solid feet turn with all those jacks. The Mastodon is actually really good at enabling that. Rest of the list is mainly just support. I've got suppressors there as a scenario piece. The snipers go wide. The cards I brought today were defenses. I have access to 2 barriers and a fire pit. I have hit and run, Old Faithful, Power Swell, and Sentry Duty.
Returning to Tried and True from the Michigan meta, but playing this time around, is Akers. He has brought a 100-point army of Orgoth Sea Raiders led by Oriax. Welcome back. Please tell us your choices and strategy going into the game.
Yeah, it's me, Akers. They let me back on the channel for some reason. So today we're playing Oriax with a pair of jackals with arc nodes, a melee tyrant with the sighting flail and claw, big bad big pig, a Groton Keeper, Alexis, Reaver Commander, Therian Venic, a Reaver Assault Reavers with standard, Rock Harriers, Volkor Axers, Barragers, Witches. Goal of this list is just to make solid, efficient trades. Looking at leaning on Windstorm, which we racked, and Silence of Death to help to go on that means. We're also leaning on Starcrossed, and just like I said, looking to grind to turn 7. So we also got defenses to help with that goal. A couple barriers and a spike pit, careful reconnaissance, grave robbing for Alexis. Never leave home without it. Hit and run, and power swell.
Can Capitan Alari, along with a Mastodon, shoot his way through an army of curse-bound Orgoth and secure a city of scorn for khador? Let's get to the table and roll off.
Alright, so let's go over terrain quick. We've got quicksand. The things with the tents are forests. Each of the walls is going to be an individual piece as far as flag choices go. Didn't matter for me because I ended up picking the forest in the upper left there. Giant tower. We're going to really shout out to Paul for these tables because these look absolutely amazing.
Oh yes, they look incredible. This house, or I think it's this tower, wouldn't be a house, in the top part of the board here gave me fits the entire game of just trying to move around it, and just see me pick it up right there, just to see what it's made out of. And then just obviously getting around that, but I was really going to use that wall to my advantage going forward too.
Yep, and we'll see more of that a little bit later on. So I ended up taking the first turn. I'm running my snipers up, hoping to take some cover behind the wall there. Get the other ones into the woods for a little bit of cover there. More concealment. Also getting ready to score on that side of the board. We run the Mastodon up, get it ready to get into position. Alright. First turn, as usual, is super exciting with a lot of just running, positioning, all that kind of fun stuff. I ended up racking superiority and return fire. Superiority is going on the Great Bear right now so that it can run on its first turn a whopping 13 inches between the aggressive head and the heavy boiler that comes in. So Alari is going to take his defensive position behind the wall, and then we're just going to go back to getting everything in position for the turn. The other spell I racked is Return Fire. That is actually becoming one of my defaults against the pig, because if the pig decides to go in and take a shot on the Mastodon, I can go in and either disrupt something that hasn't activated yet, or potentially knock something down. Alright, just about wrapped up with all the running there, getting my Arcanist in position, getting ready to shoot out focus next turn. And we're over to Akers.
Alright, so my first turn, like I said, I really did not like this Kruger position. Like, these tents and whatnot were actually forests, so Kruger being that close to me and the fact that I couldn't see him really was uncomfortable. But so we just kind of ignored that for the time being and went with these barragers. So they are becoming one of my favorite units in Orgoth as well, just because, like I said, speed 6, range 12, like they have a 21-inch threat range on guns for the most part. Like I said, I didn't really hit most of these guys directly, but just the POW 8 blast damage kills snipers even behind the wall pretty effectively. And then they're able to repo into positions kind of behind that building and just kind of getting out of the way of some of my other elements coming forward. So they are a phenomenal unit at just clearing chaff. And then the Jackal kind of leads over to the payload, 50 mil there to score that and kind of get some cover behind that wall. And you're going to see me kind of jostle around this tent structure a little bit. Try to keep on the table as long as possible, but eventually I just need to put more models there, so I have to pull it off. But we'll see that in a little bit. And then the Tyrant comes up behind that wall, and I'm kind of pushing that forward a little bit to kind of eat some shots and bait a little bit with it. I mean, sometimes, like I said, it's going to be Def 13 over that wall. I've got a Shield Guard with, obviously, later on I'm planning on casting Starcross this turn, so being Def 13 with Starcrossed definitely helps out quite a bit. And then, like I said, we move over the rock carriers to kind of not give Kruger a great spray vector on multiple rocks. And then we're also, like I said, being really cautious with the Assault Reavers because they are prime targets for Kruger to just annihilate. So, again, just kind of being mindful of trying not to give Kruger too much from that forward position. And then moving up Big Pig into that little pocket to try to zone Kruger out as best we can. Just because, like I said, that is the scariest model to my army at the moment. So then we're moving over, just kind of, again, just putting up bat and moving Carver up, doing the traditional little pig shuffle. And then, we got there it finally goes. We take that 10 off the table. The Akers go into the middle in those woods. Then Oriax, I believe, now goes up, just casts Windstorm and Starcrossed. As he does, I chose not to feat this turn because I'm going to potentially use the feat, leverage that to kind of threat Boris potentially later on in the game. That's what we were going for this time. So I didn't want to turn one feat here and opted for a play later. And then, like I said, just double checking, make sure all my stuff's in Windstorm. Double checking with Dan, obviously, what's in, what's out of Windstorm, so he knows where the guns are going. And then, we'll pass it back over.
And most notably, that Jackal, I think, the one closest to the camera, ended up being outside of Windstorm, which is going to really help me on this turn.
Yes.
So first thing we're doing here is we're just doing a little bit of measuring to see if I can feat this turn. See if I can get some of those Assault Reavers with Boris and pop a couple of feat shots. I ended up deciding that wasn't the idea this turn just because I wouldn't be able to keep him safe. And, well, the weakest point of any Alari list is Alari himself. So we start formulating our plan from there. I'm looking and saying I'm pretty sure I can get to that tyrant without too much issue. I've got a bunch of the guns. You only have the one shield guard and the Groton Keeper up against the tower there, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. And then we're also checking threat ranges just to make sure I can knock down that tyrant, just so we don't have to deal with Star-Crossed. I've had plenty of games against Oriax where Star-Crossed 4s, which is what the Great Bear would need, would be increasingly difficult. So we've now confirmed that the even with Windstorm up, the tyrant is within 16 of me, which is the walk 4 plus the 12 reduced range of the heavy cannons. So we know that part of the plan is going to work. And now we're just getting into executing. Arcanists do the thing where they hand out focus. Get some on the bear as well, get ready to go in. Here come the other ones, going a little slower just because we're in that quicksand. But we really only have to hand out a couple focus in general here. Next thing we're going to do is get ready for Kruger, checking where our line of sight vector can be for that Jackal. And we can actually get a pretty good shot with Kruger here, and we're also looking at the Direwolf eventually as well. Alright, now we're actually getting the Mastodon in position. Try to knock down that heavy to make it a lot easier to deal with. First one gets eaten by the Groton. Gets knocked down by momentum, so at least I don't have to deal with Primal Rage. Ended up spiking damage as well. The other one, unfortunately, we decided to start rolling our boosted 5 War Table dice in real life. So we are stuck with the Tyrant not being knocked down. We do have some mortar shots that can go. We're going to end up dealing with some of the chaff around there. I think we're just going to end up shooting one of the barragers, yeah. That one we did end up spiking damage on, because those barragers were annoying. Alright. Mastodon did as much of its job as it could. Doing a little quick, just talking, strategizing, working on our intent here. Almost as intense as that forest. Alright, time for the bear to go in. I'm only going to be able to get the mace's reach on the tyrant, but at least it has a free charge. Star-Crossed 4s, like I said, have proven to be difficult in the past. Thankfully, those rolls, it's not becoming much of a problem. So theoretically we could beat back here. I didn't see too much value in that at the moment, in large part because if the Great Bear fails to kill the Tyrant, then we can at least get it out of the way, and that's what's ultimately going to end up happening here. Going into my last attack, I think we left it on, what, 5 or 6 boxes?
Yeah, it was only on a handful of boxes after that, and I think its movement was out too.
Yeah, movement was out, which made things a lot easier for me, because now I don't have to deal with a defense 15 Tyrant. Because ultimately, in here I'm playing hit and run to disengage the Tyrant, because my next goal is to get the suppressors in a position to just throw as many shots as I can in there. So just checking my positioning here quick, and then that determines which way I have to move my Great Bear. It did end up taking a point to its movement there just by going through the spike trap. That ended up not being super relevant, but it was a thing that happened. Alright, suppressor's getting into position now. Making sure we're within the reduced range of 7, because normally they're 10. Ended up rolling max shots with that guy, so now I'm feeling pretty confident. Even with star-crossed up, because now with movement out, we just don't roll bad. Alright, Tyrant is down. So now we can just take some pot shots into Akers, but these need star-crossed 10s to hit, so we're not exactly relying on these. And actually those Nova dice that I picked up over there are pretty cool. There's some of those Baron of Dice ones that are special for Nova this year.
And if I recall, they did roll pretty well this game too, so that's helps a lot.
We've already seen at least one boosted 5, so...
That's way better than your normal dice rolls.
Alright, now we're getting Kruger into position, and we're just going to try to throw as much damage into that arc node as we can. Set it on fire, doing our mental force. Kruger, as usual, rolls 3 damage for mental force. Unfortunately, I think and this is one of the ones where I didn't roll, like, super well, because I think we only ended up taking out the fist on that Jackal, and I was aiming for the arc node. So that didn't fully go according to plan, but it was fine. I can maybe get a shot in with the Dire Wolf, but not from that angle I'm measuring, because I won't have 3 inches through the forest. So what I end up talking about instead is, well, I think I can get superiority on there. I'm also looking at those rock harriers, and are they going to be able to threat me? Because those things definitely are capable of taking down Kruger, just because their boosted hits and Gang and Sitting Vulture can all very much negate Ashen Veil. So I'm thinking I at the very least have to now stop Kruger from getting charged. So we end up moving superiority over to the Direwolf just so I can get the range. I'm not expecting the extra defense on the Great Bear to be super important at this point. It's going to be taking charges from Akers, probably some shots from Big Pig, and defense 12 is just not going to help there. I also ended up throwing return fire on a couple of suppressors just so they could get some random chip damage in there. Alright, time for the Direwolf. He gets sentry duty so we can ignore stealth on the rock harriers. I'm basically just aiming to be right at 12, the range of its cannon. They are also outside of Windstorm, so again, not a major concern there. Hits on that, I'll use the gun to actually beat him back the inch, so now he's fully out of threat range. Ended up just offing him anyways. And we look, and we are just outside of 12 of that rock harrier. So, feeling pretty good about where that is. Snipers are just going to kind of back off and get ready to do a scenario play the following turn. Throw in a couple more random shots. That was an ancillary that ended up slamming the barrager into the tower. So, you know, more annoying bits of that tower with you. And you run up to contest, make you have to actually work to score those points. And then get the officer in position just to get ready for the next turn.
Alright, so we lost that Tyrant, which, I mean, was a little bit of a gamble. I mean, I knew putting the Tyrant up there, I was going to be in threat range of that heavy, but as we kind of welcomed that, sometimes it pans out, sometimes it doesn't. this is one of the times where I lost a tyrant, so we gotta make up some ground there. Luckily, fire goes out on the jackal, so I don't take any existing damage there. We just clearing some space out with the Reaver Commander charging in there, doing some damage. Not a pretty average roll there, which is pretty nice. I mean, we're doing some stuff, killing a few things, doing some chip damage. Just more or less just getting it out of the way, because it ultimately where that's standing, Big Pig is going to be there at some point, so I just need to clear up space. And we're going in with the Assault Reavers, charging in there. Just kind of trying to work down these suppressors. They're obviously pretty chunky. Like, it takes some damage to get through them. I think after all of them go, I think I leave one of them alive. I believe, and I think one of them dies to your return fire as well, potentially, or are you missed? I'm not entirely sure. But yep, there's some sweet boxcars. We love to see that. But yeah, with obviously the banner makes it a little easier for them to get through there. We're just trying to gum up the middle of the board. Try to just take some of your tools away from you, because your list is a little light on scenario. You got 2 heavies and the big guy. So we're trying to take away a lot of your contesting pieces here early. That was the game plan, anyways.
Yep, there's my return fire that just rolled garbage.
Yep. Oh yeah, there's another sweet spike. 13. These are my Baron dice that I bought this weekend as well. So they're showing off too. Well, yeah,
that's good. I really like the feel of those dice.
Yeah, they do. They are very, very nice. I like them all. And actually, now that I'm looking at this back, like, they definitely pop well on the table too. They're easy to read even from here.
Yeah, and I remember Andy saying some of that at Nova as well.
All right, so I'm not entirely sure what we're talking about here, but trying to, like I said, we're working out how I'm going to kill this heavy, because this guy has to die, and we're just trying to figure out exactly where we're going, what we're doing some proxying, just kind of figuring out what the best scenario is here. Jackal now is going. He's just punching the guy over there, little sniper. And then I believe this is the turn when we pop the hit and run card. And I kind of waffled back and forth a little bit on what the actual play was here. Again, we recorded this, I believe, Sunday morning of the convention. So Dan and I were both pretty burnt out at this point. So we're trying to work our way through this as well. So we had a lot of little hiccups throughout this game. But yeah, we just nudge him over a little bit just to get him within 8 inches of that heavy for Cursor Shadows. And this is when I also realized, I believe, that I engaged him, because I did not think that heavy had 2-inch reach. So we talked about it afterwards, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, so that's so that heavy's engaged now. So that's potentially a little problematic for obviously casting spells at it, and then ultimately later on when we try to get more in there. And then this barrager goes over here, hits, rolls like a champion, I believe, here, and just kills like 2 snipers and a dog. I think it was pretty.
The dog ended up staying alive. You can still see him behind the fence there, because the dog ends up doing something a little bit later.
Oh yeah, yes. Now I remember. Yes, now
Spoilers.
Yep. Yep. And here goes the pig after I land Curse of Shadows on him, and yeah, we're definitely going after Kruger first. So, like, we got to kill public enemy number 1. So we shoot Kruger. We roll up shots. I think I got like 3 or 4 shots.
Yeah, you rolled pretty low on his shots that turn.
Not crazy, but I mean, we got enough done. I mean, we hit Kruger here. We're boosting damage. Make sure we remove Kruger, because we don't want that guy living.
It helps that he does have to work for you.
That is true. That I believe I just barely hit you with that 6 into the heavy. We're trying to whittle down that heavy with curse and the banner. So we've got doing that, and that one misses, I believe, because I needed 6s, I think, to hit you because you're engaged, and I'm only
you go up to an 8.
Only an 8 in this situation. So yeah, I mean, not the crazy work out of Big Pig there, but we at least got what we needed to there.
That poor Groton Keeper has to get out of the way.
Gets up and gets bullied the entire. And this is where we do the War Witch power slide. So moves up. Front 2 are just gonna basically power, and then on Dark Shrouds, and then the Akers go in and just annihilate this heavy between
that
Dark
poor
Shroud,
Armor 15 Great Bear.
Exactly, between Dark Shroud, Curse of Shadows, and Banner. Like, I think I'm rolling like dice damage.
You're rolling dice plus with combos.
Oh yes, like I did combo in both of these. Yeah, so it was pretty savage, and like I said, we removed this heavy pretty trivially with the Akers.
Yeah, like points-wise between those two heavies, I think they were both 13 points, so those two technically traded evenly, but I'm still losing a little bit more to the barragers than I liked.
Yep. And then Venek goes over there, just kind of positions for later. Yeah, Carver's just doing a little bit of bookkeeping, obviously, keeping Big Pig in check, putting on Batten again, doing his thing.
And one of the interesting things about Pig in this matchup is that because Alari has Dark Unraveling, I generally am not going to care about Batten too much because I can just ignore the armor buff. It doesn't really come into play too much on this turn, but it's something that I do have in my kit.
Definitely, but I mean, we're still always casting it just because obviously it so forces you to have to cast a spell. So that's where we're at. And then, like I said, we're kind of figuring what we can do here, just kind of getting this Jackal through. I did cast Onslaught on this turn as well. That's what helped Akers get over that wall, and this ultimately too, with Jackal charging through
absolutely
here.
Hilarious play.
Yeah, so the Jackal charges through past him, hits him, beats him back towards the Rock Harriers because he was just outside of 12. So now the Rock Harrier can actually charge him. We do a little bit of chip damage here, not too much. I mean, actually, that's quite a bit more than I thought. Actually, that's pretty good. And then the Rock Harriers get to come in and do their thing, which is pretty awesome. I was trying to throw this heavy out of. I think I needed like a 3 or 4 to throw the heavy outside of Alari's control range. So I hit.
Yep.
I hit the first one, crit.
Chose not to do that one because that was the one that would have thrown into my
choose
agenda.
not to hit, and then I crit again and crit, and then I roll, unfortunately, a 2, which doesn't get him far enough. Doesn't even knock him down because of superiority. So we were a little shy there. But I mean, it was a cool plan. Just didn't pan out that time. But we still, like I said, rolled some decent chip damage. So we were still kind of working through that heavy a little bit. We weren't gonna outright kill it, but I mean that kind of wasn't the game plan. Just kind of. Again, I had hopes that my Jackal was going to score your 50 mil out from underneath you by throwing that heavy outside of contesting range, but didn't pan out. But if it would have been pretty awesome. We're just shoving the table there.
A little bit of an earthquake there.
Yep. I don't quite. Oh, this is me moving the objective, I believe, just after I scored it. So that's the end of the turn there.
Yeah, so luckily for me, that was the only thing that was scored. Because the dog, I think, is still contesting the 30 there. Alright, so again, I'm just extremely happy that I didn't lose the Direwolf from control, because this is very obviously going to be my feet turn. There's just all kinds of stuff gumming up the middle. I just have that one suppressor, and I need to save his activation because I need to figure out what he needs to kill while still being able to score the middle. So going through, planning out my turn, figuring out what actually needs to die. And I think because you cast Onslaught, we didn't have Windstorm I also ended up using Old Faithful to get some of that chip damage off. I think he actually ended up taking out his head with that.
Yeah,
which isn't too relevant
right.
because he's not shield guarding anyone from where he's at, but still make you do a little bit more work, and I'm not super worried about the Mastodon with the heavy down. Alright. Going through playing my turn, part of the complication of Alari's feat turn is making sure I remember who's shooting and whose activation it is. That's actually one of the strongest challenges with him because I tend to chain. Volkova ended up giving him guidance instead of the Mastodon because I had to deal with those rock carriers. Thankfully, because of guidance, aiming that 4 still hits. So now our feat chain starts up. One of my favorite things to do here is to just start firing mortars everywhere. Oh, excuse me. And yeah, here's where all those Reavers start evaporating. Because now I don't have to deal with windstorms, so blast damage isn't a thing. Get some more damage on that Reaver commander. We needed ultimately 6s to kill all those guys. And then because, well, can't flag it, the flag needs to die last, obviously, because you can just take it up. Now we're going on to Alari's own. We're going to try to put more damage into the Jackal. Unfortunately, didn't get that crit with our armor pierce shot. That's just kind of one of those, oh well, we do our reload. Gonna try again. Boost that damage. And yeah, we're not rolling like super awful. That one was actually fairly average. So the Jackal's still there. We didn't get another feat proc on activation. Now we're just making sure Pig isn't going to kill us. Because that Pig is everywhere. Alright. Now it's time to do our focus prep. We're going to get these guys around because they might end up having to contest at some point. And then we also have to fuel up the Direwolf so it can do the work. Try the Razorwind shenanigans. Unfortunately, we didn't crit. Did end up finishing the job, though. Go Razorwind! Right. Now I just need to figure out where the Direwolf needs to be, where I can still score. I've already now used Old Faithful, and Hit and Run was used the previous turn, so I can't just repo in general. So I end up just saying, forget it, I have to just deal with that rock carrier the old-fashioned way with my gun. Thankfully, range 12, rat 5, POW 15, that was pretty quick work. So now we've cleared out the 50 and can score. Alright. Now it's time for the Mastodon to start doing work. We're just going to hug up onto the wall here, which found out later that's kind of what you were hoping for, to get the Mastodon trapped behind the wall, but at the same time I didn't hate that position, because the entire reason he was over there was to just limit how and where your 50 mil could move. Going through getting our melees out of the way, and then just go and drop more bombs. This is usually where my favorite part of Alari feat turns and the Mastodon actually getting to do work happens. And I think the Akers ended up mostly, if not completely, living.
Yeah, I think Starcross helped him out quite a bit here, because you were trying to hit him over the wall, and with Starcross, it just wasn't happening.
Yeah, but we kept bullying that Groton Keeper, though.
Yeah, Groton Keeper had a very bad day.
And also slamming that Jackal off the point. Setting up one of my favorite moments in any game. Because everyone loves when snipers get to charge, but more on that in a bit. Alright. I think we're just rolling we're still on the Mastodon though, just rolling my grinder shots and just not hitting over the wall. Alright, now it's time for the other stuff to start doing work. Get one of my officers into position, random hand cannon shots. Getting a line through our Arcanist, because I think I was actually able to aim here. Which is never bad when an officer gets to aim. That finishes off the Reaver Commander. Or leaves it on like a box or two, I think. Alright, a couple more things that ends up finishing the commander. Yeah, see, those dice aren't great. We roll double ones.
Yeah, I saw that.
Alright. Arcanists get ready to do stuff. They're going to try to do that Razorwind game too. Not going to pan out so much this time, though.
Ooh, another snake eyes. I missed that one too.
And then, hey, the doggo charges.
Yeah, I love this too. It was pretty funny.
He didn't do a bad chunk of damage either. Like, I don't think I took anything out there, but
no, I
at
think
least stopped you from scoring.
I think he did 3 or 4 damage, something like that. Nothing bad.
Yeah, get some more hand cannon shots with my other officer there. And that should at least wrap my turn. Oh, we still got the suppressor. Nope, we do wrap up there. So I end up taking a 40. I end up taking, obviously, my 50, so we get to move an extra inch. And I'm at least glad that that wall's fairly close.
Yeah, so I think I'm slightly down on scenario at this point, but I think I'm pretty good on clock. Like I said, I'm in a still pretty good position. Like the Mastodon is kind of where I want it, stuck behind that wall. You're gonna kind of see me position a little bit too, to definitely not allow you to come over there. We're measuring right there to see if Big Pig can walk through the forest with careful reconnaissance and get onto that heavy, which we're definitely easily within 7 inches, because I can't see you from there because of the forest. So we're gonna do that at some point here. I think we might be leading with that. I'm not entirely sure. Looks like
we're leading with that. Blowing up my walls.
Yep. Pig just comes up here, does pig stuff. You know, hits you with the melee, spins up shots, and I'm pretty sure I downed this thing with probably only I don't think I had really any attacks to spare, but I might have maybe 1 or 2 errant shots somewhere. But do know that pig got the job done here. There's another box. My own boxcars. Gotta love that.
Those Michigan GT dice rolling 6s as well.
Oh yeah. Alright, so we're just keep rolling some shots, spending some focus or fury. We're just gonna keep going. There we go. Now that heavy dies, so I get to score that 50 mil back now. Carver just, like I said, goes up just a little bit of bookkeeping here, just kind of putting up batten, moving over, keeping everything in check. Getting a little farther away from that Mastodon just to make sure that you can't kill Carver. I think now we are shooting with the barrager into your dog that my dog. Yeah, and then we kill the dog there. My jackal's knocked down. He doesn't get the melee penalty, so we kind of use that to our advantage. And the keeper just kind of goes up there to score that 30 mil. And And then the barrager looks like, yeah, I shot at that barrager. Repos back.
Yep.
Oh no, that was very. I'm sorry, that was Therian Venix.
Well.
Yeah, that was Therian Venix activation to bring back a barrager. So we grim returns and brought back another barrager in that unit because Therian just kind of sitting back behind that pillar, bringing back dudes.
Yep. With that pigeon lady that Ice King painted.
Oh yeah, she is absolutely gorgeous. Then I don't quite remember where we go from here. Looks like we just kind of shuffle around with.
Yeah, we're trying to get those to score. You're not.
Yeah, I was kind of looking at throwing some magic at the suppressor, and I was like, there's really no point in doing that. So we just decided to forego that. Like the witches just kind of needed to get out of the way, take up some space, and
score that flag.
Score that that 40 mil. And then like Oriax goes up. I spend a soul to blink Oriax over the wall that I got from killing the suppressors from the turn before. So Oriax. Yeah,
this is the rare case actually where you used grave robbing on Oriax to do that and then feeded.
Yep. So Oriax goes in on that last suppressor, hits him, and I believe I rolled like a boosted 22 here. Yeah, something crazy. There it is. Yeah, the 22 on 4 dice. Just blow that guy up.
Chance.
And then I sidestep into Boris and the Arcanist here. So we missed the first one. We hit him, get that soul back, and then goes over the wall, hits that guy, and I believe I miss Boris. Oh no, I miss Boris on the Berserk, and then choose not to buy any attacks because I want Boris to be tied up, and I've got 2 souls on him, so he's pretty good there. Being defense 15, armor with those souls 18, especially over the wall, it's going to be pretty hard for you to clear Oriax. We're going to get there, Alexis.
Especially because most of my damage dealing models were off, either dead or off dealing with other things, because the Mastodon clearly had better things to do. Yeah, that's where we're checking. Am I still contesting my 50?
Yeah. And then again, we just move the Axers up to kind of block position for the Mastodon. So you make sure you can't get over that wall, just taking up space. Jackal just kind of goes back to his normal position, and we score out. I think I score 3 here. I score your 50 mil, my 50 mil, and then the middle as
your
well.
Your 40 and the 30.
Yeah, so we're scoring. I think we scored 4 here.
Yeah, so I'm already getting into a bit of scenario trouble.
Yeah.
And this is also where we realize, wait, there's no thing that says you can only move your own 50 mil objective. So we actually determined that you could move my 50 towards my flag.
Yep, exactly. So I move yours back, and I move mine forward. So we're getting closer to that objective because your objective piece of terrain is that forest kind of right behind the Mastodon there. So we're getting close.
Yep. But as it is now, I'm already in a whole lot of trouble because Alari never wants to be in melee. He's one of the few casters that doesn't have dual attack. So I can't just, kill you and live the dream. Not that that's something he's super capable of with his Mat 6 POW 10. But we also don't have breakthrough, so he can't just walk away from you either, because that just means I don't get to use my gun. So, number 1 objective of the beginning of this turn is just to make sure I free up my big sniper rifle. We do have a couple of solos that can do that. We've got Volkova as well as one of the officers in the back line there. We go with the officer first because he's the weapon master, keeping him out of Star-Crossed on that turn. Unfortunately, officer just couldn't roll. We ended up hitting with the hand cannon, but still doing no damage because of all those souls. Well, then we try Volkova. At the very least, if she crits, we can do something. She did hit at least, but not enough damage to get through all that armor and 8 boxes at dice off 5. So now we just have to be resigned to the fact that Alari is stuck in melee for the rest of this turn because my arcanists aren't going to be able to do anything because he can just counter their spells. Now we gotta just make sure, are we just dead can get to us, which is now becoming even more of a problem now that the only thing that can deal with it also has to deal with the Axers on the other side. So Feel Up the Mastodon continued to do some of that work on his side of the board. He is pretty much face tanking everything over there himself. But hitting an Axer over the wall under Starcrossed still not exactly easy. And I think at this point we determined I'm within 2 now, so my guns aren't as relevant. So going through, talking it out, just figuring out what else we can do. I hate dropping all those 6s. Finally got something through. Unfortunately, then Axer goes and makes a tough check. But at least now he's on the ground and less of a problem. So finish off the attacks that we had. Now I want to deal with that Groton. So we do, hiding behind the Mastodon there, have an officer who's going to end up, once he's there, getting the charge. But we got to finish the rest of our guns first. We did actually clear them out in time for that before buying attacks. Also mostly inconsequential blast damage there. But we are at least slowly getting the witches off. I think we still left one alive, though. Oh no, we got them all.
Oh no. Oh yeah, they all died there.
So, unfortunately, I think the Axers are still in scoring range, so I'm a little worried there. Go in, try to put that poor Groton Keeper out of his misery. Hit under Starcrossed, get that Weapon Master swing in there. I think he ended up toughing this. Yep, so now he's knocked down. We end up throwing our hand cannon, I think, actually elsewhere. Yeah, into an Axer that ends up still hitting. Oh yeah, we spiked damage on that guy. But still have one Axer that's scoring that 40, and there's, at this point, nothing we can do about that. Because I've got my Arcanists on the side, but what they're going to have to do is go and score my 40, and that's assuming we can live the dream of killing Alexis. Which again, at 6, POW 10, and I think you only taken like 2 or 3 damage at that point.
Yeah, it looks like Alexis is taking 3 damage from my phone right there.
Yeah, so dice off 8, we only, need to roll a hard 13. And that's after actually getting the 9 to hit. So we're going, well, we got it. That's at least something, boosts the damage. And this is where we just cranked it.
Yeah, and Alexis just bites it to Alari's sword.
He secretly already had Vlad's sword, if you've read the initial story for Mark IV. So now we go in repo to make sure we're scoring that. And then we can also run the blue Arcanist right up by the camera there to make sure we're scoring the other objective as well. But this is also where we realized, well, you're still scoring the 30 because I couldn't get my officer there. You're also scoring that 40 still. We realize we're at parity, and this is where I lose on scenario.
Yeah, we're down. I believe you're down by 3 here, so yeah, we call it there. So ultimately, I think the game. I mean, my game plan kind of went according to plan for the most part. I was able to get some good efficient trains. Obviously, I gave away the Tyrant early, which meant that I probably was never going to be able to kill that Mastodon. However, though, I was just able to kind of keep the Mastodon at arm's reach most of the game, so it wasn't really able to put down max effectiveness onto my army. Had that wall not been there, I probably would have been in considerable trouble on that flank.
Or if I'd have been able to actually get over it. Like, he had enough
Yeah,
bodies there, I wasn't able to cross efficiently.
yeah, exactly. I made a lot of attempts to kind of take up as much real estate there as possible and to not allow you over that wall. Um, ultimately, how do you feel the? I mean, this is a good kind of a good talking point here for this game to showcase. How do you feel about the Mastodon into the Orgoth matchup? Like, how does that change the matchup for you much, or is it still um, even disadvantaged? Like, I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are on that.
So I am generally of the opinion that it helps slightly, because obviously Windstorm is still a problem. It's not really an increase in threat range over, say, a heavy cannon on a Great Bear, but because it can be two of those plus the mortar on one platform, you at least get a little more output. At the same time, I don't think it's necessarily game breaking. I think Oriax is probably an ideal Orgoth drop for a Winter Corps player, because Harusk, obviously there's a lot of armor that gets there. Sabrath can just bully you with Crippling Grasp and throw it everywhere. So I think it helps a little bit, but it's not, fully blowing the matchup in the other direction.
Yeah,
It's still a very handy piece, though.
yeah, I would definitely agree with that assessment. I mean, I don't think it's like anything crazy new. That's obviously skewing the matchup, and Orgoth innately can put some pretty good, as we saw in this game too, buffs and debuffs onto targets. So like them chewing through armor isn't all that hard in a lot of matchups. So like removing it is not normally a problem. It's just kind of um, getting to it with the disruption, obviously, of your cannons and all the other things that you can kind of bring to bear um, with that. With that being said, yeah, like Oriax is probably not the ideal situation here, but I mean it's still was obviously a great game. I hope it was obviously fun to play and to watch. I mean, for me, it was Nova was amazing. Like this game was also incredibly fun. I mean, obviously when Alexis died to Alari's sword, I mean the whole place erupted. That was incredibly funny when that happened. Um, but
And
no,
then a little anticlimactic with the game ending at that point, but
yeah,
it
yeah.
was a nice feel good.
Oh, definitely. Oh, that was absolutely one of the best parts of the game. But yeah, I appreciate. Like I said, the game as always. Dan and I play pretty regularly as we are both Michigan native, and then we're definitely meta there. So it's also, like I said, always a great time. And like I said, Nova was absolutely. If you have not gone to Nova, I would recommend it. Like I said, this was my second year. I didn't believe this was Dan's first year going. It is definitely a con that will always be on my calendar. It is a great time. Just seeing the people. Just it is absolutely one of the better cons of the year.
As Eric and Andy put on a really good show there. I can't wait to go back. And this game was a really good cap to that weekend.
Oh, definitely.
Yep, so again, I'm going to go plug the locals here. Like I said, we've got Michigan GT coming up later on in September. A couple other steamrollers getting on the calendar as well. And then for those who are in the Midwest Great Lakes community, we do have a Discord. We're going to get the link into the description. Hopefully I'll meet some of you guys through there and hopefully see you at some of our events.
All right. Thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah, and thanks for the game.
Thank you for watching. If you would like to check out some additional content, including the original video and audio of our battle reports to support the channel, please click our Patreon link in the video description below. If there are any factions, warcasters, or warlocks you would like to see on the channel, please let us know in the comments. And as always, see you on the next Tried and True Battle Report.